Hey, this is Matt once again. Going to be a short little review, kind of like Michael Keaton Phantasm and Snapshots. A film I barely remember. Memoirs of an Invisible Man. I had, previously talked about They Live. And it was a few years before Carpenter did anything. It was sort of his return to sort of big studio film. And of course, there's a film you have Chevy Chase, and he's a character who ultimately hooks up with Daryl Hannah. But Chevy Chase, he has a hangover, and he's in this building, and he's laying down because he has a hangover from the night before. And there's like an accident in the lab somewhere in the building, and they need to evacuate, but Chevy Chase is asleep / passed out. And he wakes up, and parts of the building is invisible, and he himself is invisible. And then you bring sort of the CIA type of agents headed by Sam Neill, and they realize, oh wow, this could be a great weapon. Chevy Chase escapes, and then basically it's a thriller, a comedy, a love story. And to me, I had the VHS. I got rid of it because it doesn't quite gel for me. I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, you have some good bits of comedy, like Chevy Chase's first reaction to being invisible, knowing that he's able to see his food digested, like you see his food digested and then it turns invisible. But it just, good special effects, especially for the time. It was 91 or 92, maybe 93, not positive. But it just wasn't hilarious, and Chevy Chase was somewhat of a more serious role, dealing with the effects of being lonely and not being able to see yourself. It just felt like a film that tried to be different things and then really wasn't 100% successful in each one. Well, granted, I tried to do different things, but it just wasn't hilarious. It wasn't extremely thrilling. It wasn't a sweet love story. It's also one of those things, I think, that if you watch the film, you would not know it was directed by John Carpenter. And I know that's a weird thing, but if you see this film, if you didn't know John Carpenter was, if they didn't put the title that was John Carpenter, you would not have known. It doesn't really have the dialogue or the characters or of course not the atmosphere. I mean, Carpenter is really kind of his only attempt at a comedy. And to me, this is when Chevy Chase was sort of going down. Once he entered the 90s, granted, I do like Nothing But Trouble, but I like it. Chevy Chase does a good job in that, and it's also really an offbeat movie. It's a very offbeat film, Nothing But Trouble. But here it's I don't know how to describe it. I mean, I know it's a pretty crappy review. It's not as detailed. But Memoirs of an Invisible Man, I mean, you have scenes like, a wait for him to see his Daryl Hannah putting on makeup. You see parts of Chevy Chase's face. Again, Sam Neill with the gun, and all you see is the gun attached to Sam Neill's head. There's a scene where he's running, he's taking pieces of clothing off, able to escape from the CIA agents. I just, Daryl Hannah kind of didn't have much to do. Chevy Chase wasn't hilarious in the film. Sam Neill did what he had to do. It just, for some reason, never hooked me. I mean, I don't know. It's a hard one. It's a forgettable movie. I think that's my main gripe. To me, it's a forgettable film. It has a few slow spots, and I just couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Maybe people can explain more of why, or maybe they'll disagree. But either way, I mean, I just had to give my honest opinion, because if I passed it, it would be because I have seen it. To me, it's a forgettable film. if I went for Invisible Man, I'll see a comedy or horror. You should go with one of the. There's no horror, but I'm just saying a horror thriller. I'll see Hollow Man. I'll see Hollow Man because obviously the special effects are better, but it's a slasher movie, but with Invisible Man. You have some blood, you have a little bit of nudity. Paul Verhoeven. So I'd rather go with Hollow Man, and then if I want to see a comedy, I'll see Abbott and Costello meet the Invisible Man. But I don't know, it was a good attempt. Good special effects. Chevy Chase wasn't horrible in it at all. It just, to me, wasn't memorable. It just was sort of, somewhat good time waster, but ultimately saw it once, don't need to see it again. So I know this was a crappy review, but it was a hard one to review because I threw away the VHS, and then it's not like it's online. But thanks for watching, and stay tuned for a much more in-depth review of a John Carpenter classic. See ya.